let's do an update on the new Asian arowanas. So it was just a few days ago when we added 3 new Asian arowana to the aquarium. We now have 4, and I know a lot of you guys have been dying to find out how they're making out in the aquarium. Look, all the rays are out right now too. Always awesome to see everybody. There's a few things I want to address. One, I want to talk about how they did, obviously. However, there's 2 main points that came up in the comment section over and over and over again. One was what we should do about the Asian arowana that has the drop eye, or the eye that's protruding and looking down now. And then the other concern is, why are Asian arowana illegal in the United States? And some people have even seen them in the United States, so that's something I also want to address. Fortunately and almost unfortunately, everything happened exactly as I thought it would. There was a few fights here and there. The original Asian arowana that was in there, my ultimate blood red, which is this one right here, when everybody was added initially, she was the aggressor. Kind of like that. However, over the past few days, it certainly has evened out to the point where everybody's getting along a lot better. There's just a few chasing here and there. They are eating. The new arowana eat floating pellets. They won't accept my the food that I typically feed, which is homemade, but they'll get trained to get around to that. And a few are missing scales and a few torn fins, but I told you guys that would happen anyways as they establish their hierarchy in the aquarium. However, this would be an ongoing thing as well. It's just going to settle down far more in the near future, especially as they get larger and more used to each other and used to the aquarium. And of course, one of the interesting things that's going to happen here shortly is I'm going to be rescaping this tank. A lot of people are like, hey, clean your algae. I'm not going to bother until I drain the tank and I rescape this. All of this wood is coming out. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of the fish actually act then, I guess is what you could say. Or if it'll be any different, or if it'll be any worse. Right now, though, this is successful. It's way more successful than I thought it was going to be. Ultimately, though, they are kind of doing exactly what I thought, which is, chasing around here and there. A few missing scales, some torn fins, and so forth. But those are all cosmetic. They will heal, no problem. Now, this is the red with the drop eye. This side of its body is totally fine. But when it turns around, if it will, you can see, get out of the way. Here she comes. See how it's pointing down? So that's not necessarily common in Asian arowana. However, we talked about some of the things that cause it, including poor water quality. It could be due to the fact that the diet has too many fatty foods in it and fat deposits are building up behind the eye, pushing the eye outwards. Could be that you have too many bottom dwellers and it's constantly looking down, or you're feeding sinking food and the fish has to look down to get it. It could also be that it could be from an injury. It could be from a number of things. The unfortunate thing is nobody knows for sure what causes it, and there's only one for sure way to fix it. Now, we can leave it alone and hopefully it'll go away over time, or perhaps we can do some things that are supposed to work, like put a ping pong ball above the aquarium, you draw a little dot on it, you put a couple of them so it looks like a pair of eyes, and then the fish is forced to look up. This will strengthen the muscles behind the eye, apparently. We could put it in a tank by itself with no bottom dwellers, and just kind of cross our fingers and hope it cures it. But the only one for sure way to cure this is through cosmetic surgery, and that is knocking the fish out unconscious. I've shown you guys how I've done that before. We make a small incision behind the eye, remove the fatty deposits, and sew the eye back into place. This works 100% of the time. However, I know a lot of you guys said in the comment section, I don't mind it. I think it looks okay. Leave it alone, is only cosmetic. But is it painful to the fish? Is it causing the fish, can he see perfectly out of it? I mean, these are things that we don't know. So I want it to improve its life, of course, and ensure that the fish is in any not in any discomfort, as well as make sure that it's able to protect itself in an aquarium with other Asian arowana. So, like I said though, I'm going to give it a couple of months and we'll go from there. But I can assure you that whatever the remedy might be, it'll be in the best interest of the fish. And of course, torn fins grow back. They'll be perfectly fine, and as well as, the scales grow back as well rather quickly based on their size. Again, this is perfectly normal in an Asian arowana community. I know a lot of you simply have never been exposed to this, so you'll think that it's abnormal, but it's totally to be expected. And it's one of the downsides to trying to establish an Asian arowana community is the fighting. But it can work. I know personally for me, I'm most excited about this rescape, and I hope to be able to at least start that in about 3 weeks or so. The next couple of weeks is definitely not going to be able to happen, but after that, my schedule opens up a lot more, and I just know that this is going to take 3 or 4 days of continuous work on this tank, being such a big tank and needing to drain it, move the fish. So much to do. I'll be sure that we cover that in the near future. So if you want to see what I'm going to be coming up with, make sure you subscribe. I can tell you it's going to be one of a kind, never seen before. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot wait. Now, next thing I wanted to talk about is I've seen a lot of comments saying, I don't see what the big deal is about Asian arowana. I don't know why you paid so much. They're at my local fish store for 50 bucks. So, if you are not well versed in Asian arowana, what you might not understand is there are several species of arowana. Silver arowana, Australians, Jardini's, Lacardi, there's all different types. Black arowana, there's all different types of arowana, including the Asian arowana, and some of them are $50 or less, and they will be sold in your stores in the United States. But there will not be Asian arowana in your stores in the United States simply because the store owner would face jail time, $10,000 of fine per fish, his store and lose his license, his business license, etc. It's not worth it for the $50. So I can assure you, a lot of the arowana that you're seeing in your local stores are not Asian arowana. But why are they illegal in the United States, where I'm here in Canada and I can have as many as I like? That's what I want to talk about and get into now. There is an international agreement between many governments, countries, and states, and it's called CITES, or CITES, however you want to pronounce that. It stands for Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The point of CITES is to ensure that the international trade of wild animals and plants doesn't threaten their actual survival. So CITES catalogs all of the fish that are endangered or threatened or almost extinct, and categorize them into 3 appendices. Appendix 3 meaning it's on the radar, it's not necessarily endangered, but there's not a whole lot of them left. The Appendix 2 would be, these guys are endangered, there's not many of them left. And then, of course, Appendix 1 is a lot of the times they no longer exist in the wild, or they're threatened with extinction. So there's 3 levels, and Asian arowana are Appendix 1. They're threatened with extinction. I don't want to get into the politics behind that or what the true numbers of Asian arowana are. I don't think that CITES is absolutely correct in this situation in terms of how many Asian arowana are left. There's hundreds of thousands of them in farms all over Asia. Is there any in the wild? Probably. I think they need to look at that again. But again, I don't want to get into it. However, due to the demand in the United States, I can only imagine how quickly stocks of Asian arowana would be depleted almost overnight. With that said, why can I keep them in Canada but you cannot? Well, CITES doesn't override everybody's laws or their governments. In the United States, you still have acts and you still have policies, especially with endangered animals. It's not like you can go out and buy a tiger, for example, or an endangered species of whatever, and just have it at home. They would take it from you. You get jail time. We all know that. But Asian arowana are treated just the same as being threatened with extinction. You simply can't own them in the United States. However, in Canada, I can have them if they come from a CITES certified farm, which in order to prove they're from that city's certified farm, they will be microchipped, which is a small microchip inserted into their abdomen when they're a little bit smaller than this. And if you were to scan it, or if some sort of a wildlife officer decides to scan my arowana, this will correlate with a serial number on my certificates, showing that this is a city's certified Asian arowana. So in Canada, I can keep them as long as they come from those types of farms. In the United States, it's just no, you cannot have them, period. I think I explained that about as simple and as basic as I could. However, there's so much more to learn, and it's interesting to see how many freshwater fish, or how many fish in general, are listed as Appendix 1 or Appendix A, whichever you want to call it. And I believe there's 16 in the world right now, fish that are threatened with extinction that are on the city's list and you simply cannot have depending on your country. My suggestion would be to check out the website and get the real information from the actual website. Link will be in the description below. Interesting little side story though. Initially, the plan for me, I thought I was going to go and get the Panda Supreme. And what I was going to do is take the red, put it in the 375, take all of the rainbows, move them to the Asian tank, and give my ultimate blood red, the 375, and keep the Supreme in here. But then when I got a really good offer on buying all three at once, I decided I'm just going to get all three. But you guys know me, I have a hard time resisting awesome fish, and I think you can relate. Anyways, guys, just a quick update to basically say that everything's going to plan, and I'm really excited to see, what these awesome creatures are going to look like in 2 or even 5 years, and especially the rays and how this tank will evolve. And I know many of you guys will as well. And of course, I'm going to bring you guys every step of the way. 2 to 5 years is nothing. We've been making videos for almost 10 years now. I think at some point I'm going to make a how to care for Asian arowana video, and perhaps a how to care for or how to keep stingray video. If you guys want to see those videos, let me know in the comment section below. I've been dying to make those types of videos, especially about my favorite fish. However, there's so much to talk about. I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing such a long video, but if you are, let me know in the comment section below, and perhaps sometime in the new year we'll get working on it.